Hello and welcome to the best game you never played. I am aJadedGamer and today I will be showcasing Rise to Ruin, blending city management, tower defense and the god game genre. This gem of a game recently ended its early access period and has enamored me since. Let's take a look. I'll be showing you a snippet of the game, the founding of a new city, the ultimate goal in each area, and a little something extra you can do in each map if you're as insane as I am. The first two steps to founding a new city include sending migrants from a previous location and picking the base for your initial camp. A location close to food, water, trees and stone is absolutely necessary, and if there are crystals and a colour skate nearby, that's a good bonus. Once the location of the base is set, previously sent migrants from other locations arrive, along with transport columns if you sent those as well, although it's entirely possible to not need those. They'll turn up and start building your base for you. Resources you designate by using the paintbrush tool can be collected by your workers and used to construct buildings. This also applies for food and water. First of all, you want to make sure your workers have somewhere to live, have access to clean water, and fresh food. Just as a little side note, this game is extremely self-aware of itself, to the point where I once had two villagers called Superman and Wonder Woman who gave birth to Son Goku. So, that's the level of humour we're on here. There's also plenty of little hidden quirks, such as the loot box tooltip that says loot boxes in a single player game. That's weird, or something to that effect. It's quite entertaining. Food comes in several different forms in this game, ranging from crops to wild animals. I find the crops are the most reliable, though they don't tend to grow in summer or winter terribly well. But with your godly powers, you are capable of just creating more food right in front of your people, infusing the hell out of them as crops just spring out of the ground before them. Quite funny to watch their irrational reaction to something they can't understand, which was a wonderful little addition to this game. You have a wide selection of spells that you can cast or manifest in the world, ranging from lightning strikes, meteors. You can grow trees or crops, and cause earthquakes, snowstorms, thunderstorms. You can summon golems to do work for you or defend you. They all have a purpose, and they can all be used in alternative ways if you're clever. Time passes in this game, days to nights, to weeks, to seasons, to years. There's many types of weather, from rain to snow. There'll even be meteor strikes at times, full moons, blood moons, which have become popular lately in games. There'll be snowstorms as well, hail. You gotta make sure your people have somewhere to hide in those circumstances. It's also possible for them to freeze or burn to death, depending on the temperatures. I quite like the music in this game. It's all orchestral and sets a tone of an unsafe world. Something that the lighting in this game also does well, which you'll see shortly when nightfall happens. It looks like they're almost done constructing the houses and the watering facilities. After that, you need to worry about harvesting, production, and refinement. There's a couple different tiers when it comes to construction materials. There's base, as in just raw. Then there's an in-between stage where it's refined. And then it can be further manufactured into other things such as tools, weaponry, even armour. There's also the fantasy resource of the crystal, which can be refined into crystallifium, which is used to power magical devices and buildings. The people in this world understand that there is magic, but it's up to you to let them harness it. One of your baseline god powers is the ability to pick items up and drop them from within the world to somewhere else in the world. You can place them directly into a construction site or a storage facility, but if any of the people see the item just floating over somewhere, they stare at it and stop what they're doing. So it's best if you're not spotted, at least in a production sense. There's no overarching ramification from this. It's even possible to drop items on your people if you wish. I mean, hey, why not? You're God, right? and you can even sacrifice them if you really want, but I'm not that mean. One of the late additions prior to the official release of this game was trash, and initially I didn't like it. It just piled up everywhere. Turns out the way I was playing was wrong. I was just stripping the land, making sure I got everything I could. But because items now rot, it creates piles of garbage everywhere. The garbage piles up, slimes start spawning in it, destroying your buildings, and that ain't good. I think it's a nice addition, and perhaps carries a small message with it of, take care of the earth that's so popular lately. During the night, the lighting is at its best, creating an atmosphere of dread I absolutely love in this game. And it's not without founding. After the first day on the traditional difficulty setting, which I am playing on, you'll start to be attacked by monsters, and those attacks will only increase with time. These monsters come from parts of the map that have been corrupted. It's an omnipresent force trying to destroy you. You can try and fight back, you can try and suppress it, you can try and block it. Whatever works for you best, I guess. Once morning comes, I'll show you a map that has been cleared of corruption, and one that is still being corrupted, but it has been suppressed. The small little glowing pixels that you can see now and then are essence that form in the world when something is removed, such as a tree or a stone or a life. In order to use your god powers, you need to collect this essence, either by moving your cursor over it or by building essence collectors, otherwise it will simply vanish back into the world in some manner. Besides your powers, essence can also be used to power certain buildings for the protection of your settlement. The ultimate goal of this game is to survive 1 year in every region that you saw earlier on the map. I'm only about 5 regions deep at this point, but I already feel like I've mastered this level of difficulty to the point where I have about 5 to 10 days where I'm just waiting for people to migrate and for the timer to tick over 1 year in the game, which is a bit of an issue. I guess it's ultimately up to me to keep it interesting. Perhaps I push a bit too hard at the start, but I also feel like I have to, so I'm not quite sure what to do. I still find the game extremely interesting though, which is pushing me through the dull times, but downtime is a part of gaming as well. It seems the corruption has started in this region. I'll have to decide how to deal with it now. This is the first region I played, in which I decided to wipe out the corruption before moving on. It ended up taking me something like 2.5 game years to do, and it became extremely difficult towards the end, when you get thousands of monsters spawning every night. And as you can see by that little red bar above the blue one, which is the essence bar, the red one indicates the power of the opponent, and that starts rising when you start restricting them. This is the next map I moved to, where I decided to restrict it as much as I could by cutting off part of the map, like one of those old line cut games that were popular during the early Windows and DOS times. And this works out much better than trying to wipe it out in terms of time friendliness. Besides sending monsters your way, the corruption also prevents you from performing any miracles within it. So it's yet another reason to try and keep it away from where you are. Besides picking regions, while on the world map screen, you can open up loot boxes based on currency you earn by performing godly miracles. You can also earn bonuses by completing little objectives, shown on the top left. And all of these result in permanent improvements to your settlements and the people within them. And I'd just like to stress that none of these are paid for, they're just within the game, and you earn them by playing. You know, just like a computer game should be. How bizarre. And that's Rise to Ruin, an absolute gem of a game. Now if anyone wants to stick around for some beginner tips, here they are. Water and food. First thing, then shelter. Otherwise your people are going to become very unhappy. When defending your base, try to use the natural environment to your advantage. Mountains can be used to block without having to build walls, and forests can be used in a similar manner. If you find you become overwhelmed with monsters, you can pick them up and dump them in a colorscape. Doing this too often will cause the gate to become damaged and even explode if it goes too far, but they can be repaired with magic, or even rebuilt. I find the fire elementals to be the most dangerous of all the monsters. However, they won't cross water, so if you dig a few holes around, fill it with a rainstorm, you won't have any issues with them, at least until the winter comes and the water freezes over. I hope these tips are of some help. I'm aJadedGamer. Thank you for watching.